Rob, Bob.
I mean, it took me 3
Um,
days to watch Dune Part 1 last week.
Oh man.
Just kept
Why
falling
was
asleep.
that?
Just kept falling asleep.
Yeah, I loved it. Fair enough. What was it? I watched 15 minutes of Shogun, and I really liked it so far, but I just was not in the mood to watch something, especially something I need to pay attention to and read. And it's just like I'm just gonna read something else instead, which is ironic. But anyway,
It sounds good, but it does sound heavy.
Hmm.
It's not heavy. It's my brother.
It's my Patrick.
Well, Alec, why did you pick this film?
Because I wanted an easy win. No, I picked it because it's Eb's favorite Tarantino. I'd say it's in like my top 3 Tarantinos. But I think it's like it's a very interesting. I think it occupies a very like interesting kind of space, really, because like I think we've had a few historical kind of films, and the bits where it's kind of deviated from set events make me kind of go, that's odd. Whereas with this, that's kind of not really a concern, and yeah, I think that's probably an interesting sort of thing to talk about. I like all the languages and stuff floating about. Christoph Waltz is like fucking great in it. I believe that's actually like a production thing we could talk about as well. Because Tarantino apparently needed an actor who could speak English, Italian, German, and French, and he was like, "Don't know who I'm going to find for this." And luckily, Christoph Waltz auditioned. And he was like, "Well, thank fuck." Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of interesting little areas to this. I think it's a cool little film. I say little film. It's nearly 3 hours long, but yeah, cool film. James, somebody doesn't think so. Emmanuel.
I haven't even seen the scores. One moment.
Those scores from Emmanuel are very generous for Emmanuel.
I thought you were gonna top the overall leaderboard at one point.
Well, that's the thing, really, because you kind of think that, and then Emmanuel just sort of swings in and just fucks you.
It's almost like Alec will sync the story score for a random film, and Emmanuel will sync the enjoyment score for a random film. So it's like equally balanced as all things should be.
Yeah, me and Emmanuel are on a scale. Oh dear. Anyway, yeah, you're right though. Those
Stalemate.
Yeah, you're the stalemates of film club.
Oh, I don't like that nickname at all. That's
Which one's the stale? Which one's the mate?
They're friends, but it's been going on a bit. Right, well, come on then. Can't do all of this. Somebody say something. You motherfuckers.
I guess I will then, since I'm here.
You're here every week.
Shh, not everyone knows. I think this might have been like the second Tarantino film I watched. So obviously everyone knows my favorite Tarantino film is Pulp Fiction. So it was sort of pitched to me like this was around the time where I didn't really watch trailers that much, and then I sort of got into watching them after that. But people was like, "Oh, it's from the guy that directed Pulp Fiction." So I was like, "Oh, cool, that's something for me to sort of get stuck into." And like, obviously, really like World War films as well. And this is like a different take on it, which I really liked. The writing for each character had its sort of unique Tarantino flair to it. I think it was just refreshing to see a World War II film from a sort of a warped mind, like without it being factual or anything like that. Just much more of a black comedy or dark comedy even. Yeah, it's a film that I do like a lot, but I always sort of like when I'm talking about Tarantino films, I always put it way down the list until I watch it again, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is actually really really good. But I would say that it's made a lot better by Christoph Waltz. Like his character is incredible. Um, Obviously it's written really well, but I don't think there's another actor out there that could have played that role to the way he did. But yeah, I had a great time watching it. I know Alex a bit disappointed that I didn't notice anything, but
No,
be interesting to see what you guys saw in it, so I can sort of react to something that like I may not have been paying full attention to.
I'm not. What have I missed? What's this?
Oh no, it was a discussion we were having earlier. I'd scored the film and Alec said, "Did I notice anything different this time?" I was like, "Not really."
you just said it was like a guaranteed high score
Yeah.
from you. I was just
Well,
like, oh,
yeah.
okay.
I
I was
mean-
hoping it.
Well, with Tarantino films generally, like if I've already seen them, that I don't really tend to shift my likes or dislikes based on how long has passed, whether it holds up or not. Like you guys tend to sometimes. So I already knew I liked it. Just watching it again just reaffirms it.
I don't know if that's a. Thank you. I don't know if that's a bad review. No matter how many times I watch Quentin Tarantino films, it might as well be the only time.
Like, Tarantino films are all very different, but all wonderful.
What was that? Sorry, I didn't hear you there.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Sorry, no, that was my fault.
Tarantino films are all very different, but all very wonderful.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I've gone through like a weird thing with Quentin Tarantino because like I really loved him as a kid, and then he started to annoy me, and now I think I really.
Did he ask
Huh?
to look at your feet?
No. Oh, fuck's sake.
Yeah. But no, this is the first Quentin Tarantino film I got to see in the cinema. So I think there's like a little bit of a I don't know, nostalgia around that for me because I grew up loving Quentin Tarantino because well, it's the whole blockbuster thing, isn't it? Like I think I saw Pulp Fiction because of Mark's dad, and then from Pulp Fiction I went and got Reservoir Dogs, and I loved that as well. And then like True Romance and Natural Born Killers, and like yeah, there's so much of his films that I loved. And then obviously his films are always 18 rated, so the first film that I was old enough to see was this. And then Django obviously is the other one that I've got like a memory of seeing in the cinema. But yeah, I don't know. Like I think, yeah, when I was a kid, like it was always like that thing of like, oh, this is all really cool, and like there's like loads of blood everywhere, and like there's loads of stuff going on. And then I think I got a bit older, and I sort of went like, oh, I'm not sure what I saw in those, but now I'm sort of circling back round to thinking they're all really cool again. Um, yeah, I think I'm still kind of like forming my opinions on this one now, though, because it's a bit, well, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Like it's there's so much about it that's really, really cool. Um, yeah, I don't know if it's just because I've had a really busy day and I watched it last night that I'm, like, I'm still sort of like putting everything together, but yeah.
Come on, Ben. We can't wait forever.
All right. Inglorious Basterds is.
It's Ghostbusters.
Yeah, Ghostbusters. Yeah. We're talking
Ghostbusters
about
ain't good.
Ghostbusters. Who are you going to call? Inglorious Basterds. Yes. But it's one of my favorite Tarantino films. It's one of the first Tarantinos I've seen as well, and it was one of those films that over time I've appreciated it more and more the more I've seen it. And but even when I first saw it, I knew this was kind of like a different thing. And now I kind of get this very interesting read of it in a different kind of way because it's kind of like Tarantino's ultimate black comedy to an extent, but it also has these incredibly serious, dark moments as well. So it kind of like teeters the line of being super serious and quite a very thoughtful film, but also at the same time it kind of is quite satirical, and it's very like it's got like almost Coen Brothers kind of like style and quirkiness to it, which I really like appreciate, and it sets itself apart compared to many other films around its time and many other World War II movies. And I think why it's such a good movie because not only is it so damn well written, it's so well performed, but it has a lot to say because it's not just doing like this is what happened in the past, but these real things that happened. It's more like this is a what if that could have happened in the past if things went a certain way instead. I do appreciate that, and that's why I liked Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as well, because that film also had an alternate history of like this is how things went to a point where things could have gone on a different branch, and I do really like that creativity and that inspired idea of showing history in a different kind of like maybe not rose tinted glasses, maybe that's not the right terminology, but it's more like this is how it could have gone and how we all kind of ultimately wish it would have gone to a point because it just showcases a lot of things that are very cathartic in terms of like the Jewish characters in this film and what they go through and how they have to respond to like the Nazi persecution, and people like Christoph Waltz's characters, they're so like in for themselves and they have their own agendas and stuff like that. Everyone has their own agenda and their own goals, as makes a great character piece, which this film does so well. I think that is the only thing that I find um, a bit not maybe not questionable, but maybe not icky, but more like considering what's happening now with Israel and Palestine. It's kind of gone full circle in the sense that I know it might be a bit dodgy to talk about, but it's just you see a film like Inglorious Basterds and the Jewish characters in this are literally going full circle, being as brutal as the Nazis were to them. It's kind of like, whoa, this is. But that's the only thing that I find was a bit like now it kind of is a bit for me personally, just me. But it's I can see why it's so important and why it needed to be kind of like told in a sense. It's just the way it is right now. It's just because it's kind of I remember reading somewhere about what we're talking about the Frankenstein movie in the book and all the adaptations. It's 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 kind of like if people are brutalized, they'll eventually be brutal themselves back. And I kind of like that's the theme of this film is kind of like it inspires one thing and one action leads to a consequence, which leads to another consequence, and it kind of goes full circle in a sense. And and it's kind of like you're cheering for these people to get their revenge, but at the same time, like, was this the way to do it? I don't know, but yeah, it's still a great film. But that was my takeaway from it this time after seeing it recently.
Now we're going to be labelled an anti-Semitic film club before I've even become an MP.
Yeah, that's the
Well,
trouble
I'm glad you
when you bring that up.
I'm glad you're
Bob
updating
for
the
Prime Minister.
thumbnails. I'm glad my face won't be on this thumbnail. This one, that's top notch.
You know well, not really on the subject of it, but on a tangent from it. The Bear G was written for Adam Sandler.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
No, you say that, but like, if Adam Sandler needs to act, he can act. Like,
He
it's just
can.
that he's
At
just
that-
not often inclined to.
No, at that point in time, he wasn't known for like his really serious roles. It's only recently, like, what was it, Uncut Gems and a few other films he did
I know.
after.
To be fair, though, Punch Drunk Love is a.
Oh yeah, Punch. No, when did that come out though?
That was like 2002.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's quite an
I
old
saw
one.
Uncut Gems. That was the one I was thinking of before Ben named it for me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
those are the ones with his proper like serious Sandler.
Yeah, no, he's a really good actor, but I think the thing is that like studios give him loads of money, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna have fun with my friends," and it's like, fair enough, man.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, there's quite a few of his films that are objectively shit, but I really enjoy, like Mr. Deeds and Grown Ups. But like, then you've got films like Uncut Gems and Punch Drunk Love, which I've not seen, that are like well revered.
Yeah, he's very good in. But yeah, no, it would have been interesting to see him as the Bear G, because I actually think he'd have been brilliant in that role. But yeah, he couldn't do it because he was filming something else, and
Oh,
he was under the impression that Quentin Tarantino like would just wait for him, and then Quentin Tarantino was like, "Oh yeah, I'd casted Eli Roth anyway."
Yeah, it's probably the best thing Eli Roth's done as well. Not that it's a high bar.
I don't even like him that much in this.
But he
That's
suits the
the
role.
thing, though.
He suits him in this.
I don't think Eli Roth's ever come close to either of those two Adam Sandler films. So yeah, I think it's a shame.
I mean, I liked him in his role. I don't know the actor. And the first thought I had was like, he looks like the guy who plays Siler in Spock. He reminds me of him. So that, because obviously they're different actors. But do you see what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? They look similar to each other in a way.
I would have never connected them before you said anything. And now you said something, I'm not sure I'd connect them still.
I think if you take like Eli Roth's facial features and like space
Oh
them
wow,
out,
he took that really personally. I'm sorry, Emmanuel. I retract that one. I'll take it back. Come back to us.
I don't know what happened there. What did you say?
Yeah.
I think if you take Eli Roth's facial features and like space them out, I can see what you're saying.
Yeah. He could be a cousin, you know? Like, his cousin's in this. Cool. And then I just started imagining Siler from Heroes, and so I was just like, you know what? He could actually do this if he really wanted to. Just put Siler as the bird Jew. Remember how violent he was in that role and how like vicious he was, and have him as the bird Jew. He's just a little bit less weight, you know? Basically the same thing. Enjoying hurting people. There you go. You're welcome. Alex face.
You just keep going down these rabbit holes.
It's just facts, you know. Can't dispute them.
Is it
Alex
just
usually
facts?
likes facts.
I love how that started with this guy looks like this guy, which was met with, I don't know. And that ended with, it's just facts.
Eli Roth looks a lot like Zachary Quinto if you squint at it.
Exactly.
Squint a lot.
As Zachary Squinto, you mean?
Oh man.
I'd stay away from
Oh.
it. You're very controversial tonight.
Well,
Ben's
I guess
developed
I-
a Seth Rogen laugh.
Oh, have they? I take it as a compliment. I don't mind Seth.
I have to listen to it now. But
Have to laugh.
I did a laugh. Yeah, I didn't hear your laugh. Oh, I wasn't listening properly to it, but I also don't know how Seth Rogen laughs. So I'm just like,
It's like,
You've just got no hope, have you? You just got one paddle on a canoe and you're just doing circles.
yeah. I don't know why that's making me think of Mr. Bean. See,
Okay, Inglorious
really
Basterds.
rash.
Come on, back
Bastards.
you go.
Just before that, though, in my head, I'm just imagining Mr. Bean in the Trip to France movie, singing the oh wait, row 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 your boat. But if you see a crocodile, don't forget to scream. Anyway, it's just great.
Yeah.
It's making me smile.
Future film club pick.
Yeah, why not? Um, I did appreciate the part in the film where it's like you gave yourself away. It's this, not this.
What, in Mr.
Um,
Bean?
No, in
No,
Mr. Bean, it's that, not that.
Mr. Bean goes undercover.
no, you know what part of him I'm talking about, Alec.
Yeah, no.
Okay, but yeah, I did appreciate that. I mean, I assume it's true. It's just a random little thing. Obviously, there's many places all over the world that do things differently.
Isn't that
And
I don't know this for sure, but this is how I took it. But isn't that a reference to the Bible with the I can't remember exactly what the word is, but or what the story is, but there's something about like a certain people of like one country or something tell who's from another country by the way they pronounce something. It's like shibboleth or something.
yeah, you have those kind of things as well. The way they pronounce stuff, the way they do certain kind of body cues, or like certain body language or whatnot, or how they count, like in this situation. Are you thinking about something specific though?
Yeah, I'm just googling it now because it's yeah, so yeah, it's shibboleth. So it's a Hebrew word that means ear of corn. And in a biblical story, the word was used as a password as a means to figure out who was part of your group and who wasn't. And it was just a pronunciation between the two groups that was different. I think one group didn't pronounce a H or something, and that's how whoever was using it as a password was telling them apart. But yeah, I always thought that was a reference to that.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
a good point. Yeah.
fair enough. I mean, I wonder if it was or not.
Really
But
interesting
it's
stuff.
also a very real thing for many places. I don't know which places do that, but I've come across that myself. And you have like in different videos, people explaining like how like different people would count or show different kind of well, yeah, do different things. So yeah, I've come across that. I was like, oh, that's kind of a nice one. He kind of was suspicious the whole way anyway. But then he did that. It's just like, nah, no German's gonna do that. You ain't from this part of the world counting like that. No. Even if you're in a neighboring country, you ain't doing that. Otherwise, I thought it was well made. It wasn't this was my first time watching it.
I can tell because you didn't enjoy it at all.
I could have watched it before. It's been on my list to watch since it came out, and I just never got around to it. Like many films, no surprise. But I didn't enjoy it like I thought I might. I I tend to. Well, his films are a mixed bag for me. There's ones I enjoy. Most of them I think I enjoy, and then there's like one or two I'm just like, eh. I think the only other one I definitely didn't enjoy, or was a hard watch, was what's the one where they're just in the cabin for almost the whole movie?
Oh, Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight, yes.
Yeah,
Did
I
you
was just
like The
like,
Thing? I can't remember if you did or not.
did I like what?
The Thing.
Oh, The Thing, that
Mm.
the older one.
Yeah.
Was that him?
No, it's just Hateful Eight was kind of like his kind of like take on The Thing.
Yeah, it's like the Western version
Oh,
of it. Like,
fair enough. I thought The Thing was better, honestly.
Yeah.
I can't remember what I scored it,
yeah,
but
we all agree there.
but yeah, I thought that was good. It also, I think the thing about Hateful Eight is that unlike The Thing, it has a lot of variation, even though it's on the same compound. There's lots of things going on, and you're jumping from different parts of the set, outside, inside, this room, that room.
It's more dynamic, yeah.
Yeah, and in that way, you can. Yes, it's very different, but you have many films that are like that. Like what's the film? No, not Here's Johnny.
Hmm.
Oh wait,
The Shining.
it is The Shining. Yeah, it's The Shining. I was like,
I
wait.
love Stanley Kubrick's Here's Johnny.
Yeah, good old Johnny Park. Yeah.
Here's Johnny. That takes me back to the English teacher Ben. If you know what I'm referencing, he's like, come in here and stop acting like something from The Shining or whatever."
Oh, you mean Mr. Holloway?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't even know what he was talking about. I was like, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's a weird thing to reference to like 15-year-olds in the school.
Yeah, I think I saw it at that point, but I don't think Emmanuel had.
yeah, no, I had not seen it. But anyway, yeah, films like that. You've got many films that are like, yeah, one kind of location, but that was very restrictive. Of course, it's just one very small location, and while it's very well done, it wasn't necessarily an enjoyable watch for me. But anyway, um, for this one, there were moments that I liked, but overall, I don't know. I just personally didn't, I guess, find it as funny as I was expecting I would. I think it's probably because there was a lot of, there were quite a few harder parts to watch, and then quite a bit of tension, but tension in the way of like, oh crap, what's going to happen? This is a Tarantino film, so it's no holds bar. So people you like can just die anytime. So it was, I don't know what it is, but I feel like I didn't feel as much tension as often through something like Django Unchained. Of course, very different film, but not crazily different. But I don't know. I still think it was good, but just not as enjoyable for me personally. But I think the casting was done very well, and it's an interesting what if story. Yes. I am interested to hear any kind of facts or whatever other people know about it. I haven't had a chance to like really read up on it, besides the fact that, of course, it's a parody of real events, or a parody, his kind of what if kind of thing. Um, but like some of the characters, obviously, many of the characters were based very loosely off of actual people or his version of those people. Okay.
Yeah. I should have done more research on the factual side of things, but he is right. It's kind of like there's a lot of like it's not so much a pastiche, but there's a lot of references to real life political figures and um, movies and propaganda of that era, which I did think was quite clever. But yeah, it's all done in such clever Tarantino style as well. I really love that the bits where he used Samuel L. Jackson as the narrator voiceover at certain elements of the story, just linking it all together, and then little bits of stock footage he used, kind of like um, uh, just kind of like season the film, you might say. I just thought that gave it a really good like stamp of uniqueness and being like this is a Tarantino film. Just kind of remind you of those sort of things, but he gave you more like more more uh, important information when you needed it, rather than just being done like in a dialogue that's very expositional. They did it in a way that's like, okay, let's avoid that by doing it with a voiceover or a flashback or using some kind of um, sequence that doesn't involve the character just saying blah 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 because I'm doing this kind of thing. So that's what I thought was a good way of avoiding that trope.
Has anyone watched the Italian film with the same name?
No.
Nope.
When did that come out? That was like must have been.
I think that came out before, didn't it?
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
70s. Yeah. There's a couple of actors from it that make a cameo in this. I can't remember who they are, but I was meaning to watch it this week, but I didn't get around to it. But um,
Oh, it's free on Plex
oh,
if
is
you
it?
want to. Yeah, I
It's
saw
on
it.
something on Amazon as well, I think.
That's
Oh,
good.
maybe, yeah, probably. Yeah,
That's
I
good.
did see it. I was like, oh, 1978, I think. It's like,
Yeah, that
oh,
seems right.
cool.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a
That's not
connection.
that's not the first time Tarantino's done that, because Django has an original version to it as well, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
Django's an old western. Yeah.
Yeah, he used the same name and kind of the same sort of character. Yeah.
That original Italian guy is actually in Django Unchained as well. He's
Yeah.
the Mandingo.
Yeah, it's quite a common thing for Quentin Tarantino. He's just like a massive film nerd, isn't he? So like when he makes films, he whether intentionally or unintentionally just
Mhm.
melds loads of stuff that he's seen elsewhere together.
Yeah, that's what I really like about his films, because he's kind of respectful, but he's a big nerd, like you say, but he's respectful enough to kind of like put the people involved in it as well,
Yeah.
just ask them for permission. And obviously how he puts the soundtrack together. It's like so many old Ennio Morricone soundtracks and other things from like the 60s and the 70s, and he just uses them in like a tapestry to kind of like make the film have its own like style and its flavor. And that's what I think, that's one of the best things about Tarantino that I really love, is how he makes the films from other films, making his own film that's unique.
Yeah. Because I think that's the thing. Like it's something that's more interesting to me now as an adult. Because when you watch his films now, well, for me now that I've seen like so much other stuff since I first saw him, you are kind of going like, oh, this is a bit that he took from this
Yeah.
person, and then if you read his books, Cinema Speculation as well, yeah, there's so much that he talks about in that, and he doesn't ever like directly say this is where this came from or anything like that. But when you read like what he takes from films like Dirty Harry and things like that, like I want to go back and watch Dirty Harry now, because even watching this time, I was going like, oh, this thing that he said about Cinema Speculation about Dirty Harry, like, is probably something that's become like sort of an interpretation of how he sees that, and then has put it in this kind of thing. Um, so yeah, it's really interesting. Like, I think I think that probably a big credit to Quentin Tarantino is that he'll probably be remembered for introducing a lot of people to a lot of quite diverse stuff. So yeah, I think that's the thing for me with this one. Like, it's why I'm a bit like, look, I don't think I've like fully formed my like sort of definitive opinion on it yet. It's yeah, like it kept there are so many scenes in it where I was going like, oh, maybe this is relating to this thing that I've read him say and like all that kind of stuff, and I kind of want to sort of put it all together in my mind, but yeah, it's very interesting.
I think as well, just having someone having like a story sort of centered around like disparate sort of languages and everything, like that's such a big part of the story, like very early on in that, and like considering like the general attitude of subtitles and stuff, like I think it's nice that he felt like he could sort of just do that. Like he was kind of at a point in his career where he could go like, nah, it's all people are going to be speaking in different languages, and I don't think, yeah.
Well, that was one of the things that I was thinking of sort of in relation to his book, to be honest, because something that he talks about, like there's a whole bit about New Hollywood and how like the New Hollywood filmmakers were taking inspiration from European filmmakers, which weren't sort of like mainstream at the time, and like, well, it's still not mainstream now, really, but yeah, like all these kind of like foreign films that you wouldn't necessarily have seen without. Well, I mean, it's still the case now. Yeah, you wouldn't have seen without specifically seeking them out, kind of thing. Yeah, it's kind of like World War II, sort of, as a kind of like, um, yeah, I don't know. There was just like a lot of similarities between what he was writing about that and sort of how languages are sort of treated in this. Like it's like I think there's a lot of thought behind it to sort of like, although it's sort of dressed up as a war film, it is kind of just like a very nerdy film. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I found was really great about this was the structure of it as it focuses on multiple characters, and a big chunk of the film is just about what's her name Melanie Laurent's character Shoshana and her cinema, and I felt that was just a really good uh viewpoint to see things in her eyes. Obviously, her being the survivor of Hans at the beginning, it was important to have like a big part of the story all about her, and I just love the fact that it's just her trying to like make a life for herself, and then by circumstance and like intervention, she suddenly gets faced and thrust back into his life, and it all becomes the whole point of the Inglorious Bastards and her revenge intertwine and connect. And I felt that was really clever how they weave those two story narratives together in a way that kind of like was natural to a point. I think there were I think there are a couple of points where it kind of like, wait, would someone like her really do this and be so like brutal? And you can understand she would be. Yeah, I can understand that whatever she's been with, I could get that. I think her um is it her husband or at least her boyfriend, the projectionist who owns the cinema alongside her that works with her, he kind of like is so like blatantly on her side from the beginning and just does whatever she says in that, and he doesn't bat an eye when they kind of kidnap this guy to develop the film and all that. I felt that's what, well, would this guy really do this? He must really love us to bits when he sacrificed his own life to do everything that she wants to do to get brutal revenge on the people who did that to her family. But that aside, I think it works when it needs to work in terms of her end goal. I just feel like looking back, it kind of like, would she really be that so entwined, and her boyfriend at least be so willing to cooperate, so like Yeah, if I'm maybe not explaining it well, that's the only point of conjecture. And I'd be like, I'm not sure if he would do that, but I did see the point to it, and it needed to happen because that's the way the story kind of like had its natural conclusion. And as we go on, it just had that brilliant like ending scene with Brad Pitt's character facing off with Waltz. Just that you feel like he's kind of got the better of him, and they kind of had this mutual agreement, but he still has this upper hand when he literally just pulls the rug under his foot, metaphorically speaking, and just gets him at his own game. So I think it has this brilliant full circle kind of thing going on as well. Um, but yeah, I did appreciate those little moments where there's little callbacks and little things that lead up to one thing get paid off at the end.
It's kind of weird actually that the three cinemas that we've now got in Film Club are all in Europe.
And the best cinemas are in Europe. Clearly.
Third one.
The third one's in what do you call it?
American
Oh
Wolf?
no, wait, it is in America. I'm thinking Shape of Water was in Spain.
Yeah, yeah. Because while you said that, I was like, hang on, American Werewolf has a cinema, and then Shape of Water has the cinema underneath the apartment, and so so there's. But
There's three of the four then, to be fair.
Is it bad? I forgot that there was a cinema in Shape of Water.
That is bad. That's quite instrumental.
I'm not as bad as like forgetting like a film was in Spanish when it was
just like
that's very
Guillermo
true.
del Toro. He makes people forget details about his films.
Yeah. Is that Simon?
It is Simon.
Oh shit.
Is Simon okay?
Wait a second. Give me a sec. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, right, man.
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm around. So, how far have you got into the conversation?
We've been talking about European cinemas alongside European cinema and Adam Sandler.
That's a very odd combination. I don't think Adam Sandler will be part of European cinema, and not American cinema.
Thank you. Neither did I.
We were talking at the start about how the Bear G was written for Adam Sandler, but he couldn't do it.
It was?
Yeah. Which, to be fair, I think if you watch Punch Drunk Love and Uncut Gems, you sort of see why Quentin Tarantino would write a part for him. But it's a side of him that you don't often see.
But is Adam Sandler a big person? I don't think he's.
I think he's bigger than he seems. Like, cause he's I can't remember what he plays. He plays some sport like semi-professionally.
Yeah, but like height-wise and like build-wise, I feel like he's not as big as. I can't even remember the guy. All I know is he's the director of Borderlands and stuff. I can't remember.
That's Zachary Quinto. Quinto.
Oh,
yeah. Why does he keep coming up?
Yeah,
especially in relation to this role.
Yeah. I thought you said Adam Sandler was directing Borderlands. I was like, that's why it looks underwhelming.
Yeah, but no. But I remember he does a lot. I remember the guy. Yeah, he does lots of directing stuff. I remember Borderlands being one of them, and like he does a lot of other like. I know he's done like another, I think, film thing or TV thing for like. That's video game based. I can't quite remember on my top of my head, but I know he does a lot of directing stuff. So it's just like, oh, okay, because he actually looks like a big guy. So there's that.
Yeah, no, I think Adam Sandler's got a bigger build than you think. It's just that he wears a lot of baggy t-shirts.
That might be it. Yeah.
I can't believe we got off Adam Sandler to then just return to Adam Sandler when he doesn't feature in the film whatsoever.
But there was a role written for him. That's the connective tissue.
What a shame.
Yeah, and the fact that he looks like, Zachary Quinto.
I don't think he does. I really don't think he does. I know it's just facts, but
I
I
think
don't
you've got that thing where you just can't remember Zachary Quinto's face, so everyone looks like him.
Oh man.
So you guys have all done your intros.
Yeah, why don't you give us yours?
So, I've watched this film lots, fucking lots of times. I've watched this film. I've watched this like more than 10 times, to be honest. And I've always enjoyed this film. And like every time I've rewatched it, there's always like things that I progress through or like learn about, and I rewatch the film and I go, oh right, yeah, that's a new development I didn't realize. So I watched it again with that in mind, from like learning new developments and stuff. Still probably for Quentin Tarantino films, top, I think as Pat said, top 5. I'm not quite sure where I would put it exactly. Probably like either 2, maybe 3, maybe 2 or 3. Let's say top 3 then. Like top 3 like Tarantino films. Watching it again this time, I've seen some things that I didn't realize, or maybe I didn't notice as much as I did on previous times. That's the only reason why. Actually, maybe Alec, this is mainly because this is for your scoring system. There's a couple of scenes where people drop their accents a lot and speak incredibly well for their like English, and the accent kind of like loses its Germanness or its Frenchness. And I don't know if that's on purpose or if that's like or if it's just part of like who the actor is, because sometimes I just hear it and go, it doesn't sound like a German person speaking English. It just sounds like an American person speaking English or an English person speaking English. And I just don't know if that's like part of like the actual film because of where it's set, or if it's just like a thing for the actors because they just couldn't quite get their accent right. But everything else is like, I don't know. I feel like it's still quite a very solid movie. They still got the Quentin Tarantino silliness for certain like stylistic choices, like where Shoshana puts on her makeup with the fucking like battle lipstick, and it's like, oh yeah, that's still it's a bit silly, but I let it pass because it's like, all right, it's kind of the point to be silly, and it's like, yeah, it's a stylistic choice, but it's kind of like because she's doing it in her own private room. She's not actually going out and doing it. She's like, yeah, just hyping herself up before she kills a bunch of Nazis, and it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, she's going the Apache tribal thing, and I was like, oh, that's a good parallel to who Brad Pitt's character is. I just don't know if it's like everything about this movie is quite solid. I feel like it needs to be funny when it's funny, it needs to be a bit more serious when it is serious, and it's all like all the chapters are quite neatly done. The only thing I realize about it now this time is like, I don't know if people losing their accents are bad actors or it was purpose because they were bad actors. I don't know if that's a thing.
You talking about?
Mainly, it's like there's a couple of scenes like earlier where it's like the main gripe about it's like, what's his name? Fucking, we have Wilhelm. Wilhelm's when he speaks English right at the end, when after everything has happened, he's speaking English with Brad Pitt, but he sounds like he's from like his English accent sounds like he's from Boston, and I just don't know if that's like. I don't know if that's like me hearing it wrong, or it's like no, but he doesn't sound German, if you know what I mean. Because like when like I don't know if that's because like when all the other characters speak English, especially with Lieutenant Lando's character, right? He's obviously German, and the actor's also German, but he speaks English very fluently, but he still has his German accent on him. And I don't know if that's just like, oh, yeah, because it makes sense, or because that's how the character is. And there's also like points where it's like the accent is purposely done bad, where you have Brad Pitt's character saying "buongiorno," and it's like, oh, but that's done on purposely bad. I don't know if them speaking English good is on purpose, or they're not. Yeah, it's a really minute thing, and it's just like I don't know if it's done on purpose. If it was done on purpose, it's quite brilliant. If it's not done on purpose, it's like, oh, they're just kind of like bad acting then. But I don't know if that bad acting is kind of the point of this film, which is about people who are acting and being in the cinema, which is like, oh.
Well, I think when they're being Italian, there's meant to be.
Oh yeah. The Italian part is very obviously them acting bad, but like when they're speaking English, or a lot of the German characters are speaking English, they speak it incredibly without an accent or without like a twang on it, I guess is the best way to describe it. And it's like, I don't know if that's, I don't know, you know what I mean?
Not sure.
Okay, never mind it. But but everything else is brilliant about this movie. It's like, it's probably like, if I was to do a Quentin Tarantino movie and choose a choice, I would have picked this one first than the others. I would like pick the others eventually, but you know, this one is a pretty good, solid choice. I mean, yeah. It's top three, depending on mood. It could be. It's top three movies. It's a solid movie.
He says it's solid, right? He gave it 9.8.
Yeah, because of the accent thing. That's the only reason. That's the only, because it's the acting thing. It's like just I don't know if it's like on purpose or not. If there was something like explained to me about it, maybe I'll probably knock it back up to 10. That's literally it. That's literally it. It's just one point of the accents and the acting. I think that's on the scores. That's the only one I just dropped. Just like a point or so. Yeah, but everything else, yeah, it's solid. Everyone else, what's everyone else's consensus?
It's good.
It's good.
It's
Yeah,
good.
yeah, good. Yeah, you're good. Okay.
See you next week.
Well, actually, I need to. I need to do some cleaning. Just give me a sec. I'm gonna be around. I'll be on the side. Just give me a sec.
It's okay.
Oh, shut up, Emmanuel. It's good.
Does Emmanuel not like it?
Of course he bloody doesn't.
I have my Fifth Amendment freedom of speech.
Oh God, it's the first time he's pulled out on us. At least you didn't say I pay my taxes. That's the one I keep. That's the one I keep getting dropped at me.
Wait, who says that?
Fucking Twitter bastards.
How does that come up?
A lot of.
Disagreement over something, and they'd be like, "My opinion matters the most. I pay my taxes." I'm like, why does that matter?
Yeah, I've heard that a few times as well. It's just like it's like some entitlement.
What a weird post.
I think it's because you have whether it's true or not, I think there's I guess a misnomer of lots of people dodging their taxes or not doing it right and blah blah blah. And this person who thinks they're up and up citizen, they pay their taxes, they try and do it all right, so they should be applauded, and their opinion should matter more than many others. It's like, man, shut up.
That's up there with like, I take care of my kids, and that's like, yeah, you're meant to.
Oh man, exactly. Like, what you want me to you want me to say, well done?
I do my job.
Well, I mean, does paying your taxes mean that you're more of a person, or like, why would it matter if it's like you have like more opinions than someone who doesn't pay taxes? Well, what does that mean?
Exactly. It's just
It
nonsense.
sounds okay. So it's just nonsense. It's like saying, oh, I drive a car. Does that make me? I've got my driving license. What is that like a thing? Or like, I mean, is it like, oh, I pay my taxes. I'm also a homeowner. Cool. I mean, like,
I really don't want to fling accusations around, but I think we've gone a bit off topic.
yes, that's true.
You know that scene.
Yeah, exactly. You know, when they're talking about that, yeah. You know.
Anyway, I've got a bit of
Okay.
trivia. Apparently, the opening scene of this is Tarantino's favorite that he's ever written.
Really?
Oh, I don't blame him for being proud of that because it is so well done.
Exceedingly, like I think it's I was wondering why it was so tense, and then I realized it's just because like they are just having like mostly just a normal conversation. You know, in the context, it's not generally a normal conversation to ask about your neighbours' ages and how many of them there are. But yeah, I was kind of like, what was the point there that made me go, oh fuck, there's something going on, and I think it's as early as when he's telling his daughter to go back into the house and get him some water to wash up with, and then as she's going back, he goes, "Don't run." And I think it's just like from that instance where it's just kind of like she just has he knows she just has like a natural impulse to go like, oh fuck, and he's just like, just fucking chill out, just but playing it cool, just fucking chill out and don't give us all.
Yeah.
But like it's just like something just so small of just kind of like, don't run, and it's just kind of instantly, why'd you say that? Like why was there a need to say that? Why did you think, oh fuck, he is actually hiding something? And it's just
That scene.
really subtle.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, oh, go on, Pat. You go first.
I was just gonna say that scene. Like when I turned on the film this morning, I was like, I can't remember if he shoots the bloke in the end, and so I was sitting there with like a funny feeling in my stomach, and I was like, fuck, is he gonna shoot him? Is he not? And then it sort of cut to a different scene. I think like that's a really clever way of filming that scene. Like, even if you'd seen it many times, you're like, oh shit, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna let him go? Is he gonna shoot him?
Oh,
It's so fucking tense. I remember people like moaning, like going like, "Oh god, it's such a long scene." It's just like, yeah, it kind of has to be. It has to be a long scene if you're gonna get all like the tension out of it.
I mean, yeah, it's the setup for how incredibly serious and sort of evil Lando's character is, because, admittedly speaking, again, as I said, I've watched this many times. I realized, like on my second or third watch of this, it's like, oh, he knew that they were under the floorboards because that one daughter kept looking at the damn floorboards, and she kept looking down, and he noticed it because he's a detective, and he's like, oh, I see where they are. It's kind of like very obvious if you like watch it again. and you kind of see like her. There's a close up of one of the daughters. I think it's like the youngest one. She keeps looking at the damn floorboards all the time, and it's like, oh, yeah, okay. Like if I have to find people and they hide in places, they're probably hiding under the floorboards. And I think, admittedly speaking, though, all of this like tension really builds up to like those final few sentences that was it in English, where he goes, now, before I can close the book on this investigation, I need to do a search of the house, and there needs to be there will be something found. Shit, actually, that's not the right words. He says, he threatens him quite like subtly, but it was still a threat where he says, I'm going to do a search. Essentially, he says, I'm going to do a search of the house, and if I find any irregularities, which there will be, I'm going to have to do bad stuff, unless you tell me what irregularities there are, so I don't really need to search. Then afterwards he says, you're hiding people, aren't you? And it's like, yeah, fuck, already instantly at that point, it's like, fuck, he knew, and he was always knew. I just had to like set up just to show how like patient he is for like that sort of thing, and it just builds his character more. And I think it's probably my most favorite written scene for the whole movie. It does explain why, because there is so much tension, but it's not like laid out there straight away. Once you give it a rewatch or two, you go, there were so many clues. I never realized there were so many clues, but it's so good to watch it again. That's why probably one of the favorite scenes, but I don't know if that's like everyone's favorite scene or not. It's his favorite scene, supposedly, as you say.
Oh. He was reminding me a little bit of a detective in The Exorcist, actually, where you get further being polite than you do kicking the door in and threatening people. Like I think it's like I really like watching the dynamic between them in the conversation where he's having to remind the French bloke that it's his house and he can do what he can smoke his pipe if he wants to and things like that. But like you still get and then he asks, he's asking if he can smoke his pipe, and he's just like, yeah, please make yourself at home. And it's not like I don't know if it's like the usual trope of kind of like you have like a villain who comes in and he's like, I'm very nice, and it makes it like a bit more surprising when he goes, I'm not actually very nice. Like it's there's never like a thing where you're going like, I'm comfortable around Hans Lander. You're always a little bit on edge, but he's so polite generally that you're kind of going like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. Like it's kind of a bit more unsettling that way.
Yeah, I think that's a really good comparison actually with the detective in The Exorcist, because it's like, I think that's probably what sort of steers it away from being a trope, because I don't think it's like an overt thing, but it's so well acted that you're kind of going like, this guy's in it for what he wants. Like, he's not actually this nice, and it's not enough to say like this guy is a total villain, but it's enough to like feel a bit uneasy about him. But it's that same thing of like, he's like super polite and super nice because he wants to get something, and I think that's enough to put you on edge. And that's like, yeah, it's just acted in such a way that you just instantly have like suspicions about him, despite like how nice he's coming across.
I was also thinking, nice touch with which daughter he pays attention to most, because there's two brunettes and a blonde, and he focuses the most on the blonde, and I was like, why is that? Oh yeah,
he's a Nazi.
He's an of them blondes.
Yeah, that is quite a nice touch to be fair.
It's nothing. It's nothing that like needs a line or anything, but you just kind of he just keeps looking at her, and I was just kind of like, what was the thinking? Oh yeah, really.
So you
Like I
quite
said-
easily could have ruined that with a line, to be fair.
Like I said, like what a like you know, there's just a lot of subtlety, and I think that's what makes it quite funny when the pipes come out.
But no, what comes out?
The pipes.
Oh,
Yeah,
Just-
the
it's
pipes
just like-
made me laugh because like the homeowner guy like has his normal pipe and then he brings out some big massive fucking thing.
Like a fucking trombone. It's just like, why? Do you mind if?
I see your pipe and I raise it.
Oh,
Alex, this ain't the time.
So pipe
loud
measuring
and
contest.
clear, Daddy.
Put your pipe
Um,
away.
I think another thing about Han's character, which I found really fascinating, actually, as in that scene where he kind of reveals and talks about the metaphor he uses about the rats and the hawk, and the rat is no different than the squirrel, and it just kind of like makes a point about like that the Nazi ideology and everything they were all like going over around was just so stupid from the get-go. It's like, yeah, they're no different, but we hate one thing for no reason, just because of our beliefs. And I felt that was really telling of his character right then and there, that he's a bit like, wait, he kind of understands and gets the point. It was like, wait, why are the Jews persecuted so much in this than there's any other race or something? And it kind of directly goes and references it and points it out to that guy. So I felt that was really an interesting little anecdote he goes on and explains, kind of what makes it more terrifying and a bit more uneasy anyway. And it just goes on to build into it. Yeah.
It's just instantly like just very dehumanizing language.
Mm,
It's just
yeah.
kind of like we Germans are very useful, very cool,
Yeah, well, look,
very
hawk.
very neat
Yes.
hawks. That's what we are. Whereas Jews are more like, this is gonna get clipped. He's saying like, oh yeah, Jews are like, sorry, Hans Lander. I'm quoting Hans Lander. He's saying Jews are like rats, and he's, and I think I like the idea that he takes such pride in the idea that he can think like that when you consider how he gets beaten is like completely underestimating Aldo Rain.
Yeah.
Where he I don't know about underestimating necessarily, but I think he assumes. I think this is why I like the whole thing with the languages and the cultures and that being kind of like a bit clashing, because I like the idea that Hans Lander mistakes Aldo Rain for someone like kind of similar to him in that Aldo's quite overzealous, and he's like, "Oh, I am overzealous also, but I do have a commanding officer. There is a chain of command here." And so he goes like he just kind of like wrongfully assumes that Aldo Rain's gonna like, yeah, he's very overzealous in the battlefield, but when his commanding officer tells him something, he does it. And it's like, oh no. You've drastically misunderstood this guy. So I think it's like a nice little bit of symmetry there where he comes in and he goes like, ah yes, I'm known for understanding the Jewish mind. And he just encounters Aldo Rain and he's like, I understand you, and he's like, actually, not really. Nice little comeuppance there.
yeah.
That's when Tarantino does a really good job of like dialogue that kind of like also foreshadows, but also explains the character without saying much as well.
I think that's why I like this so much more than like your average war film, because although it's not like sort of purposely sort of like realistic or anything like that, it's all just it's a bunch of character dynamics that you could drop into any backdrop and you'd have the same film more or less. Like there's no kind of there's no big thing about like how valiant the war effort is and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's the thing that always gets me a bit of them. Yeah, I really like that it's just like characters that could be dropped into anything.
Yeah, it's not like it's not that the bastards are like, oh yeah, we're the chest thumping heroes and we're doing that.
Yeah,
It's,
that's a good point. You know that they're doing something that isn't really right, and they're kind of like this special ops kind of covert, kind of like amateur like thing, doing their own thing, just going off the rails and doing it their way. You know, straight away, that's not like an official thing. This isn't America getting this group of team together, the best people in the world. That's what a weaker film would do, make it like a big old massive team up kind of thing. But it's not that.
I was kind of thinking of it in terms of like the D&D morality thing, where I was just kind of like, Hans is his lawful evil, whereas Aldo's like chaotic neutral. Like he's not like a good guy necessarily.
Yeah,
he's just like, fuck you for like killing my people. I want your scalp. Sorry, Rob, we keep interrupting you.
No, that's right. I was just gonna say, like, I think that's the thing, like, because it's like, it's almost like your average war film, and I'm not saying like they all do this, but like your sort of average one will sort of, it's as if it's like putting up a defense where there's no opposition, because like it'll be like, oh, these are the good guys and these are the bad guys, and that's, you know, if you don't think that, which you clearly do, like and it's I don't know, it annoys me a bit sometimes. So I do like that this is just like, yeah, there's a bunch of characters. This is how they interact with one another. One of them happens to be Hitler.
I wonder, because this is the thing. I didn't like Eli Roth's character very much, but I wonder if that's kind of the point where I'm kind of meant to be going like that, because you know Brad Pitt's like instantly more charismatic and likable, and I think if you just had him, you'd kind of go like, he's a good egg. Whereas having Eli Roth come in and he's a bit obnoxious and he's a bit sweary and he really really goes too far, like with the baseball bat. You kind of go and like, you don't hear Brad Pitt like object or anything. He's just like, yeah, that's fine, and you kind of go like, this is okay. These are who I'm dealing with. Like these aren't like the good guys. They kind of they can be very nasty, and it's like, yeah, you kind of need that.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like you kind of like, regardless of like what the politics of it all were, and you know, like there's no sort of dispute that like the bad guys during the war were the bad guys and all that kind of stuff. But like it doesn't stop there being good and bad people on both sides in terms of soldiers. And it's quite refreshing to see that kind of nuance.
I think I also had a. Oh, go on. Spencer Hoover. Okay.
Oh, sorry, that was me pressing the button. That's my mistake. Oh, I was actually going to ask, would you not say it's because Brad Pitt's character, as extreme as he is, was done in smaller dosages? That is like, you see a couple of scenes with him, and he's very extreme for what he does, because all the characters that are with him, or the bastards themselves, are doing very extreme things. But afterwards, it goes, okay, we have a lot of him, and he's very big and boisterous on the scene. Okay, next scene, not as extreme. So we just like, is there a certain balance between it? Because if as Ben was saying, if this film was just literally about, like, it was like 20% more Brad Pitt, it would have been a bit much, would it not? And it's like, I think there was a fine balance there, because I remember watching and seeing the scenes. There are a lot of deleted scenes about like when you get introduced to the bastards. There's like a whole like situation with Donnie finding the name for the bastards, because he goes to like a village where he meets like the old like lady, and he's going, yeah, I'm going to war to kill a bunch of Nazis with my baseball bat, and he's like, yeah, you're a real bastard, aren't you? It's like, yeah, I am. and it's kind of like I remember
And
there's
you're
been,
very inglorious, also.
it might be right.
And
Right,
That's
it's like, okay,
me.
isn't he?
roll credits. No. But in all seriousness, there was scenes like that were cut out from the film, and I'm like, oh, I see why it was, because it would have been too much, and like having too much of a thing it can be quite bad. So he just snips and edits it out like a few scenes, and it's like, oh yeah, again, good balance, good with like the extreme action parts, some comedy parts, and extreme violence parts. So I was like, oh yeah.
I think balance is the right word. I don't feel like anyone really takes the spotlight between Hans Lander, Eldo Rain, and Shoshana.
Yeah, yeah. But imagine if there was more Brad Pitt, it would be like, oh, it's a bit too much, and it'd be like, no,
Yeah.
this was like a good, this, as I said, good balance. I think that's a merit to the film, and it's like, yeah, you have your characters who are extreme characters, I guess is the best way to say it, or like more defined characters, I guess, and but having them like,
Personality.
was that Rob?
I know, I was just agreeing with you. I was just saying everyone's got a strong personality.
Oh yeah, okay. They're individual. All their personalities are very much to the max, but because they're in their own little sections, it's not like a problem in itself. And it's like, oh yeah, it's quite neat. And because it's neat, it has that balance to it. And because it's got a balance, it makes it, well, an all round more unified and shaped film.
Even
The
one I was the sequence I was thinking of was when they're in the restaurant with Goebbels, and he's obviously you get the beginning bit where Shoshana's been introduced to his French interpreter, then she just instantly goes like, "Ah, you're fucking, aren't you?" But like you kind of get Goebbels doing his sex noises, which is like, just fantastic. Yeah.
I think you start
Ben.
I was trying to run a play and I could hear some funny noise.
But yeah, and then Hans Lander kind of comes in, and you get like the big soundtrack kind of thing come in. But I really liked watching her body language, like where her eyes are going, like a lot of the time, because like the camera fixates on her. You don't actually see Hans Lander come in when he comes in, and you don't actually see any of the conversation. But like, I was just kind of like, where's she looking right now? What's going on? And I was like, she's looking at Zola's face because she's trying to track. She can't understand German, but she's trying to track from his reactions and his tone of voice what's actually like being said.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
I thought that was kind of cool. And then as soon as Goebbels like interrupts and goes, Hans Lander, she goes, ooh. And like you can see her like actually like flinch and look away. And I was like, nice, that's actually really cool. Like,
yeah,
that, obviously that's a mix of direction and acting, but like, yeah, really, really cool. You can see her trying to compose herself, and then she has the long interaction with him, and then as soon as she's like sure he's like fucked off, she just kind of starts going like, oh fuck. She just loses all composure, and it's like, oh man, she's really, really good in that scene.
Yeah, definitely.
Even Michael Fassbender.
To be fair, I do rate Michael Fassbender.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's another one that just does a lot of shit for some reason.
He just keeps being in shit. I felt so bad for him. I think I was watching. I think it was X-Men Apocalypse, and he's like in hiding, and he thinks he's like successfully built a life for himself away from fighting the X-Men and that. and then it was so I felt so bad for him because like the soldiers have all like circled him with like bows and arrows and everything because they know he he can manipulate metal and that. Has anyone actually seen X-Men Apocalypse? Remind anyone?
Yeah, Bruce saw it.
But like there's
Not
like
the best.
some like noise or something, and then like it's a really funny shot. But like one of the soldiers just kind of goes like, "What's that?" and then shoot and then just fires this arrow, and then it kills the wife. And I was like, "Oh, come on!" But like Magneto like fucks all of them up, and then he has like this big like Shakespearean monologue where he's like having this big tragic going like, "Why do you keep doing this to me? Like, am I a fucking animal? Like, why do you keep punishing me like this?
Leave
Like,
me
I'm trying to be
alone."
better, and you keep fucking stomping on me." And he's getting tearful, and he's doing all this, and I was just like, "What a fucking actor in a fucking shit film! Like, you really don't deserve to be in
It,
this.
it's always been good, no matter what. It's a shame, really. He hasn't
You are
really got his potential.
It's like, man, save this performance for a film that deserves it, man. Like, but yeah,
I think-
he's really cool in this. Like, when he said like he was gonna he had his pistol on the bloke's balls like since he sat down
Yeah,
the table. I was just like, I I went back and I wanted to watch the whole interaction because I noticed like he doesn't actually move. You don't actually see him move his left arm like at all. He's always got his right one up, and he's only doing things with the right arm, like when he's ordering the drinks and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, can you actually see him do it? And like as soon as the guy sits down, you see him sort of adjust his seat and like how he's sat, and he like rests his left hand on his knee for like the whole thing. And I was like, man, even just keeping like your left arm still, like I don't know. I don't want to oversell it because obviously, like you've been directed to do that. But I was like, man, that's quite considering it's like a long unbroken shot, and you've got to kind of remember that you've got a gun in your hand. Like I don't know, I was just quite impressed with it. You're right there, Rob. You're right.
good.
Yeah, I'm just very tired and trying to get comfortable.
Sorry, bro.
What was I going to say? Oh, did you guys notice Mike Myers?
Hmm.
First scene, we meet Fassbender's character, and he kind of gives him the
Yep.
rundown. I thought
That
it was a
aesthetic
beautiful good role.
throws me every single time.
I'll always recognise him.
He's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very noticeable. The first time I watched this film, I was like, "Why is Mike Myers there? It doesn't make sense." But I was like, "Oh wait, no, he's not Mike Myers. It's someone else." But it's like,
why is Mike Myers here?
well, no, it's because I mean, like, because of who he is and like how you see him, right? You go, is this supposed to be a more of a comedy? Because of who he is, I was saying, well, am I supposed to think Austin Powers straight away? I didn't want to think Austin Powers straight away during a Quentin Tarantino film, but I was like, I saw him, I was like, yeah, it's Austin Powers. I just couldn't see him as anyone else. He's still a bit silly, but I feel like it works out in a way because it's like when Mike Westbend is like, oh, what should we drink to? Down with Hitler. Oh yes, all the way down. And it's talking about the interaction and the acting with them was silly, but it kind of makes sense in its own way because it's like who his character and who the actor is, and I feel like that makes sense in its own way. But it's just like, yeah, just saw him. I was like, oh, hey, Austin Powers, I didn't expect you to see this in this World War II war film, but like, sure, makes sense.
I always remember the first time I watched it. As soon as he popped up, I had like a moment of denial where I was like, "That's not him." And I had to like convince myself that it was.
That's funny. My wife, she didn't know, and I was just like, yeah, so she's like, oh, yeah, it is. But yeah, as soon as I saw his face, I was just like, wait, huh? Oh, yeah, he's in this. Cool. It's
My
nice.
wife. Oh bloody hell! Sorry, Ben. We failed you.
It's making me sleepy. This chat.
Oh, fucking
I'm
bloody-
joking. I'm sleepy anyway. It's not you guys.
Mhm. More points. More things. Come on, somebody. Go for it. I have faith in you.
So why? Oh wait, who was the actor who played? It was supposed to be Churchill, right? At that scene with the cigar, right?
No.
I just say what?
No.
No, it's not Churchill. Oh, okay, cool. Never mind then.
Cool. Well, we'll move on then.
Okay, move on then. So,
Oh, it was Churchill.
yeah, okay. No, it's just when I first watched it, surprisingly, because of Mike Myers, I didn't realize it was Churchill when I first watched it. In my initial watching the film, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? I was like, oh, right, he's got the cigar, and all right, yeah, it's Churchill. I was thinking, but I didn't realize why he was there at initial points because because essentially this was like a job interview, right, for his for this mission, and he asked him, so what's your opinion on Goebbels, like Goebbels Goebbels like cinema in Germany? How do you think he's doing? And it had to be very honest because being a film critic, he was like, he's actually doing quite well. He's actually making more money than making more people go to the cinema than expected. And afterwards, that's when Churchill was like, okay, you can brief him, because like he needed someone who had to have like, I guess, like respect for cinema itself, which is why it's called Kino, which is just German for cinema. I realized much later in life. I was like, oh, it's Operation Cinema. Okay, cool. I just like, why are you using German? It's like, oh no, because it feels better. Oh no, okay, Kino it is then. But like, yeah, just seeing him there initially, I was like, I didn't understand why he was there and why he needed to be at that briefing. But I was like, oh, he needed someone who is more critical about not just like the sort of things that need to happen in Germany, but he needs to be someone who has to have respect for cinema. And Michael Fassbender's character was that person. And it was like, oh, okay, we'll do your briefing then. Unfortunately, he did fuck up with his fingers by making.
He was instrumental to it fucking up.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have fucked up if it wasn't for him.
To be honest, if when Wilhelm spilt his beer on him and he just like didn't say anything, it would have been better, I guess. But he had to like, this is not. We need you to move away. I just like.
I mean, Wilhelm still didn't get the point.
Yeah, but yeah. Well, I mean, it's mainly because Wilhelm went. I'm sorry, Captain. Where are you from? I just like he just got really, because you see him like look at Michael Fassbender for like a good like solid 5 seconds, and he's like, well, what are you looking at? And he's just like confused because he's extremely drunk, but even then he was still confused by his accent, and it's just like, oh, everything is gonna happen right there. Oh, actually, there's one question about that scene for a few scenes before that. There was the bartender's girl, the bartender and the bartender's and the daughter. They were speaking French, right? There's a lot of cases where certain things aren't translated into the subtitles. That is on purpose, right? I'm not being silly, right? I haven't watched it in a while, but there are certain parts where it's not translated.
You haven't watched it in a while?
Yeah.
Oh, red card.
Yeah, but there are certain parts that aren't translated on purpose. I just couldn't remember that if that was the case or not. I just like certain parts are like translated when they say yes, or they say oui, but it's translated as OUI. It's like oui. I was like, why was this again, I can't remember. I was like, oh right, yeah, stylistic choices. But it's just like I don't remember if certain parts were cut out or not. I just like, oh, I watched this for fucking ages. I don't know if like you guys watched it on any other places, so I don't know if that was the case or not.
Couldn't tell you. Don't remember.
Okay, never mind. I don't know, because like I know you would watch it on Netflix. I don't know if anyone else would watch it on other places like Apple TV.
I watched it on a 4K Blu-ray.
Okay. So, Rob, what the fuck?
But now that you mention Goebbels is the one that owns the cinema, right?
Yeah. Wait. Yeah.
What's the character's name that's the reviewer guy?
That's him.
Right. So I don't know if you've seen any sort of special feature stuff on YouTube or whatever, but there was a there was a deleted scene that reminded me of me and Alec, and it was
This will be good.
the reviewer guy was giving it a negative review, and then Goebbels says, "We are now banning bad reviews." I just sat there laughing. I was like, "That's so me and Alec, isn't it?"
It's us.
Wait, so who is Goebbels though? Who is the critic?
It would have been me being Goebbels.
You have to ask that.
I'm going to try and find the clip and send it to you. If not, I'll just I'll record it from my viewing and just send it privately. But that, and the thing is, you know how I don't really watch end credits and stuff.
Mm.
And I was sort of doing things around my room, and then that sort of just randomly came on. I sat down and just started laughing for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, I was going to actually mention what like we said, most of you guys probably did watch it on Netflix streaming rather than on Blu-ray. Because annoyingly, I'm probably going to have to buy a new Blu-ray for mine because there was a glitch in my disc, so I had to kind of like stop and start around about an hour in. There was an issue with it, and it kept skipping and it kept freezing. I was like, oh crap, I have to. And I tried my other Blu-ray player as a backup, got two, and it didn't work in that. So I was like, oh shit, it is the disc. So I went to Netflix to kind of like cover it, and I noticed straight away that Netflix, obviously, as good as the quality is on there, they kind of like, I think we mentioned this ages ago. I can't remember what film it was, but for example, the title cards in Tarantino's original film of Inglorious Basterds is all in the film. He's kind of like done his own typeface. He's done his own font.
You know,
yeah, true.
Title cards. Title cards are just dirt all the time.
But what I found was interesting is that bloody Netflix kind of like rip all that out and they do their own title cards, not just do their own subtitles. They did the title cards entirely from scratch. And it's just this generic kind of like Arial font instead of like the special font Tarantino uses. So I was like, hang on, the font is kind of a bit rubbish in comparison. What's going on? Where's it just cut to black and it's just like chapter blah blah blah. And it's just a huge like downgrade. So they completely cut the title cards out and just replaced them. Even if they were English, they still did them again.
I'm so confused. What the fuck?
Which is mad. But yeah, a bit of a disappointment.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why I encourage you getting watching the original version. But sadly, if you can't see anywhere and only on disc, then it's really disappointing.
Rob, we can't hear you. No, we can't hear you.
Rob's broke his mic. He's so pissed off.
Nope.
While Rob is trying to fix his mic, the things around the kind of the big fire at the end is interesting. Like the swastika falling down wasn't part of the plan, but obviously still looked good. Like how hot, obviously, it was a proper fire. It was very real. But like, man, I don't know. It's like how hot it actually got. It's just kind of mad. And like how like Quentin Tarantino was seated on the crane, like in a fireproof suit. Oh man, but yeah. But two of the actors were treated for minor burns because it did get a bit out of control.
Oh.
None of them were called Alfredo, were they?
Ouch! Too soon.
Oh man.
But I mean, like, yeah, as I say, we know. I mean, a lot of people knew about the Nitrate film because we've seen Cinema Paradiso. But like, I guess it was. It's just like one of the only other films that Samuel L. Jackson actually isn't an actor in, or just a voiceover. Because I feel like I don't know what other films that Quentin Tarantino has done that hasn't got Samuel L. Jackson in it.
Good question. I'm trying to think if he was in. He must have been in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because that's the only one he's not really in. So I just can't visualize what he was in that. So before that, obviously he was in Django, and he was obviously in Hateful Eight. Obviously Jackie Brown, obviously Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs. He didn't meet Tarantino at that point, so obviously he wasn't in that.
That's
And Kill Bill, I can't remember.
Kill Bill. He's in Kill Bill 1. He's the one that he's the piano player in the wedding.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, yeah. He does
Amazon-
count then.
The Amazon subtitles really threw me off for his bits because they said male narrator voice, and I was like, no,
What?
that's Samuel L. fucking Jackson, though.
They should just call it the MF narrator. That's what I should
Yeah.
That's the only way he should be known as.
That's actually that's brilliant. Motherfucking narrator. Yeah.
So at least, well, it's not as bad as Netflix, but Amazon, you can do better.
One thing I'm kind of disappointed to find out, and I was hoping, I think things like this, it hopefully isn't done as much with like bigger directors compared to the older days, but there you go. How Diane Kruger was like actually almost like really choked. Like,
Wait,
'cause
really? Oh, no.
yeah, Tarantino was just like he for him it didn't look convincing enough, the kind of choking scene, and so he got involved and sat on top of her and choked her to the point of either almost unconsciousness or the border between. It's like, what the crap? Like, dude. Because, I mean, like, let your actors act. I'm sure they would have done a fine job. Obviously, he wasn't happy with it, but it's not, it feels a bit icky.
Well, I mean, that whole scene with the choking and stuff was very icky and very Tarantino. It's where his fetishes come out and, starts to play. Especially with him focusing on von Hammersmark's like feet and the shoes and stuff. It's like, oh, we can see where your Tarantino in this is coming out. Let's.
Do you think he was annoyed that he had to have one of them in a cast?
Yeah, I think it might. That's like,
is this all like the equivalent of just seeing a girl with just one boob out?
Well, I mean, I think that's also part of the fetish. It's like, oh, one of it's concealed and one of it's like for me to play with. So it's like, it's a bit icky because of like his fetishes, because he's got a lot of feet stuff, and like clean feet stuff, dirty feet stuff, whatever, man. He has too much. He's got. This film has probably the least amount of foot stuff that's in his films, and he has lots of foot stuff. I just can't help it to see. Pat shaking his head. Yes, there's a lot of foot stuff in Quentin Tarantino films. It's his fetish. You know it's his fetish. Everyone knows it's his fucking fetish.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt did like a little joke at I think it was at the Oscars, but he was like Quentin Tarantino separated more young ladies from their shoes than the TSA.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, well.
Oh, also, I think it's I don't know. I can't confirm this. But I was just going off the voice. I think the guy who's in charge of the Bastards, you can hear him. You can hear him on the telephone when he's talking to Hans Lander, and he passes the thing over to Aldo. I think it's Harvey Keitel.
Yeah, you might be right. I wouldn't be surprised. I can't remember if I did see his name in the credits or if it was uncredited. But probably.
Just a nice little audio cameo.
What's that?
I think the Inglorious Basterds boss is Harvey Keitel. Your TV is so fucking loud.
Sorry, it's my headphones. I don't actually
It's
know
your
what it is.
headphone.
Wow.
Finally.
Usually you wouldn't be able to hear, basically. I've changed my headphones to something else while I'm charging.
I'm surprised now who Harvey Keitel is.
I'm really bad with names.
That's true. We'll point him out when he shows up next.
Thanks.
Do you want to do favorite scenes?
Yeah, there's to be fair, there's so many good ones. Like obviously the beginning will be too easy to say, but the basement
Yes.
in the bar was just so good, and the sequence where what's her name meets Hans in the restaurant, that's also brilliant. All the scenes with Daniel Bruhl are really interesting, especially the final showdown as well. It's just really kind of like frustrating, but just that it's when they shoot each other right on cue, and obviously the gunshots are firing out in the projection booth, but obviously the film has guns in them, so no one notices. That's just a really good touch. I guess I suppose it even like yeah, the ending as well, when obviously that I mentioned before, where Hans gets his just desserts, as you might say. Yeah, there's just so many. And the bit where they and Tim Roth, not Tim Roth, Eli Roth, the wrong Roth there. Eli Roth and the other guy kind of like sneak out of the cinema, just to obviously plant the explosives and get into position and get to see where surprise Adolf Hitler outside his booth and stuff, with all the and the little charades they have to go through to kind of like pretend that nothing's afoot, nothing. Just all those little touches like that, just to help build the tension before the main event, because you at that point you don't think they're not really going to kill Hitler here. They're not going to succeed. They're not going to blow up this cinema, but they actually do it, and that's the most shocking and fascinating thing about the film is that they show everything. They show the whole place going up in flames. They show everyone dying in a hail of bullets, and Hitler just being pulverized by the machine guns. It's just like it's brilliant. And then you see the bombs explode on their ankles as well, and underneath the chair and everything. So the whole place is utterly destroyed. So yeah, that's one of the most memorable parts for me, for obvious reasons.
Actually, that was a point of topic that I forgot to ask. So in a lot of Quentin Tarantino films, they're either alternate history or films that are actually within other films, supposedly. I don't know which film this version is, because supposedly, if this is alternate history version of film of a film, right? And it's like, oh right, it explains that all of his movies are connected in some sort of way. I remember there's like a timeline and like family connections in Quentin Tarantino movies. I can't remember in detail. I just know that they are connected somehow. So I don't know if this is a film that was an actual like alternate history version, and there's a lot of like things in it, or it could actually just be a film that's actually made as a film in another film. You know what I mean?
Filmception.
Kind of. Essentially, the joke is that you could watch Inglorious Basterds in one of his other movies, technically speaking, if you're in that film world. And that's like, oh, okay, that's an interesting concept about it. I was like, because watching it now, and it's like, oh, I mean, if this was alternate history, it would explain a lot about the world of Quentin Tarantino on all of his films, because they talk about pop culture stuff so much, but it makes sense because, well, pop culture stuff is what help change the fate of everyone in World War II and help end the Nazis in like that one day in the cinema. It would be like a point of history, and be like, oh yeah, it's true. Yeah. It's a whole like alternate universe that like Hitler, Goebbels, and the two other like general propaganda guys died all in one night. That would be a very like big part of the history books. And they'd be like, he died in a cinema. It'd be like a whole thing. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like it could be alternate history, but it could be like a film within a film. Both are possible. But segue back to my favorite scene, I feel like it's where we get introduced to Hugo Stiglitz. Something about that was just really stupidly entertaining. It's so goddamn violent, but it's so great because it's essentially it does the flashcard of Hugo Stiglitz, and how he kills like those 13 SS like officers, and after they get introduced, he goes. So it just sounds like, man, I really love your work, but your Nazi killing is amateur. How would you like to go pro? And it's something about that. It's something about that, like those particular sentences. It's just like, yeah, this film is fucking great. It has so much. The best way, I don't know if murdering people is called charm, but it has a lot of charm in it, and it's like, yeah, it's so. It's, but like, it's also the scenes that connect it right away afterwards when. Okay. The screen changed for me. Sorry. As I say, this just because afterwards you see with Donnie and the baseball bat, and like the scene with Private Butts is what I would like to say. BUTZ. Butts. Don't know if that's like pronounced differently, but all of it culminates into like the scene with eventually where we go back to see Hitler, and he's like, so how did you escape? It's like, yeah, this is what you got to tell him, or they'll shoot you if you tell them what you actually told us. And it's like all of that particular chapter, those particular scenes were so culminating to show what sort of people that they were dealing with, and like the chaotic neutralness that were the bastards themselves. And I think it absolutely shows how brilliant those characters are, and it sets up everything else for the film. And I feel like, wait, has everyone like gone quiet? What's with
No,
like?
I'm still here.
I'm zoning out, but yeah, I'm here.
Okay, because wait, what? Okay, weird. Okay.
Alex back.
Oh yeah, Alex.
Hello.
Oh, wait, were you glitched out for a second? Because I think like everyone. I don't know if it's me freezing or everyone else freezing. I guess.
I know Rob was falling asleep, so he's probably just
Okay.
laying there listening.
Bless him.
Horrible.
Is my background loud?
No.
Because I changed back to the other headphones. My favorite scene with Michelle Laurent. Is that her name? Melanie Laurent.
Yeah.
My favorite scene is the one where she says in English like what she's like, how she's gonna be the last face they see when they die, and et cetera, et cetera. And I also find it cool that she suggested that it be done in English instead because she thought it'd be more powerful. It was originally meant to be done in French. But yeah. Yeah, just seen the chat. But yeah, I did really like that, and how while it's burning, the screen's burning, she's just going just laughing from beyond the grave in a way, because like yeah, she's already dead, but her spirit still lives on, telling these people, yeah, 5 MS. And I also find it interesting, like initially when Tarantino was writing this, I think it was something he was writing over like the course of 10 years or whatnot. He took his time. But initially she was meant to be like some French resistance character who not necessarily with the bastards, but sniping people left, right, and center kind of thing. So snapping Nazis left, right, and center. But in the end, he's like, nah, I've done enough stuff like that. Let's make her a little more realistic. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Saying that, it was quite funny when you see the shooting Hitler's body even more so after he's already dead. And then you just see the fake body just flapping about. It's just like, oh man. Anyway, yeah, that's me.
Yeah, that was a pretty good scene. I think Ben's already sort of mentioned my favourite scene, and that'd be the one in the bar. I think it's another one that it builds up really good tension, but I think Michael Fassbender is so good in that scene. But it's not just that; it's the can't remember the guy's name that decided to ram the gun right on the Nazis' testicles.
Hugo Stiglitz.
That's the one. And then like he has no, he hates Nazis that much that he's just too compulsive and starts the big shootout. And I just think that entire scene, I don't think you can really sort of pinpoint one specific part of it. I think the entire scene works so well together. And like every time I watch that film, that's the scene that I'm always looking forward to watching.
My favourites when they're they're going to do their plan and they get into the cinema and the Hanslander's like, all right, let's do this, because he already knows Hammersmark's full of shit, and he like goes up and he asks her what happened, and she says mountain climbing, and he just starts like laughing in her face. I think that's really good. And then he's going, but like, yeah, he's just toying with them. And I think again, it's like kind of when there's a world war happening, you got this guy and he's got all these languages. It's like he has got so much power in the room here. He's just got, but like, yeah, he's just toying with him. He's going like, "What's your name?" And he's like, "Orlami." Again, and he's like, "Orlami," and he's like, one more time. And he's like, me and Eb laugh at that all the time. And then yeah, Margaretti. He's like, okay. But he's making him say it over and over again. And then when he goes, Dominic de Coco, he goes like once more, and he goes, Dominic de Coco, and he's just like, bravo. And it's like, yes, you wouldn't.
Yeah, that is the funniest thing.
But no, I just like when she's like, oh yeah, these are my Italian friends, and he's like, all right, and he just does like the most complicated sentence ever, and they just go like, and then Brad Pitt's just having to go like, grazie. He's just got, oh man, just his face ache. He's having to do like a grazie. Like he's got his chin out, just properly. always love that. Sorry, Brad Pitt's so good in that. So you can tell like he's just not in his element like at all. He's like, I know enough to kind of like get the gist of what he's saying, but I absolutely cannot. I do not have the ability to do this. Rob just suggests for posterity. I know we can all see it, but Rob said, "I think I have more of a favourite line than a favourite." Actually, I think I have more of a favourite line than a favourite scene. It's the one where Hans is talking about how facts are misleading, but rumours reveal a lot, whether they're true or not. And I think it's quite an interesting way to look at Tarantino films, particularly lists and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which both do the alternative history thing in it.
Thank you.
Fucking hell. Oh,
I'm probably not going to get more to read now.
he's gonna be like, "Fuck you."
I'm just waiting for a fuck you. But yeah, no, you are right. You have the like that line is, especially for him, like as a detective as well, like having to go off through like you can have documented facts and that, like yeah, they could be like it's recorded, and then like you end up on a wild goose chase with it. Whereas like rumors are always sort of rumors won't always lead somewhere, so like just kind of give you a picture of where I guess you got more of like a cross section activity from like rumors rather than facts. I guess is what. Oh, he's tight.
Yeah, and ironic with all the kind of stuff, Goebbels. I can't say his name right, but Goebbels, Goebbels, yes, the kind of stuff he would spread, whether it be true misinformation or just a bunch of crap. Very successful at it.
Oh. This is just the part. I can just see us all doing it. We're all just looking at the chat, going like, "What is Rob about to say?"
He's probably not going to say a word.
Well, let's while Rob is doing that, let's just wait.
Well, it's more revealing of the people who spread them and choose to believe them, I think. And knowing Tarantino is big into his auto-image, I think it's a cool way to think of how he approaches writing in it.
Oh, he actually did type in it. Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah.
It just popped for me. I was like, oh, okay.
Fucking hell.
This is when
I'm
this
definitely
becomes a
gonna.
format. It's just me reading out everybody else in comedy voices.
I'm definitely gonna like finish reading up some more stuff on it. I keep forgetting to get around to it. Like even the last one we watched, I still have the like page up where I was reading through and haven't finished. I think it's really interesting, obviously, seeing lots of kind of trivia around the film. How it was made.
Well, I feel like this is one of the films where a lot of people have ideas and theories about it, and like because they have ideas, they're not because they don't know Quentin Tarantino personally. They can't really ask him. There's something someone talks about how when they were in the restaurant and Lando was like Hans was like was questioning well what did he call her? What was her name during that when he was questioning her because she kind of looks similar to Shoshana, but he was like, I feel like I recognize you, but I don't quite know why I recognize you. That's why he orders the milk and the cream for her paste for the strudel. But supposedly because she's Jewish, the pastries usually are made with like things like beef tallows and stuff, and you can't eat cream or milk or dairy products with the beef. So it's kind of like seeing if she would do it like that. And she was like, but she ate it. And he was like, felt like I had a question for you. But because he saw like her break Jewish doctrine, he was like, I can't seem to remember. It doesn't matter, I guess. Supposedly that's the reason why. Oh yeah, kosher kitchens, yeah, because supposedly, but of course,
Simon, you got to read out the whole message.
And that's why salt beef.
No, in the voice. In the voice.
I don't have a voice.
No, you got to do a Rob. Everyone's got a Rob voice. Come on.
I don't know. I would have to watch Rob have speaking inflections before I could do a Rob voice. I probably could do one eventually, but not now.
I'll do it then. Yeah, okay. That's exactly right. Kosher kitchens have separate utensils for meat and dairy. That's why salt beef bagels don't have butter in it. See, it's easy.
He typed it in it again. Fuck. Okay, cool. But yeah, supposedly because he was testing if she was going to like break kosher rules and like see if that was a point that he was trying to see. But of course, she did break the kosher rules, and he was like, "Oh, I guess all my questions are answered. All right, you do what you need to do. We'll see you in the cinema. All right, take care." And afterwards, when he leaves, she fucking like breaks down and goes, "Holy fucking shit!" Like she checks like twice, right? She goes, "Is he left? Is he actually left? Holy shit! Oh my god, that was fucking scary." Which undoubtedly for her, probably the scariest fucking thing ever.
That was messed up. I felt like he. Obviously, I might be wrong, but I got the feeling that he knew it was still her, but he was letting her go again for whatever reason.
Actually, I mean, I guess that would be the question for the first thing, right? Why did he let her go in the first place? Like, he could have shot her, I guess, but like, why did he let her go? Is like the thing that I was like, I've never like understood.
Oh, I mean, I think there's sort of like something to be said for the way it's filmed, kind of like there's like a fair amount of time between Trishana getting to a point where she can't really be hit with a handgun, and him noticing her. Because like, yeah, I actually took half a point off that for that one. It's like, yeah, but he notices her, and then she runs, and then she goes through the panel, and then she struggles a bit to her feet, and then she runs in front of the door, and she keeps running, and she keeps running, and she keeps running. And the reason I don't think that he pursues her is because she is going into like farmland, and it is just kind. It's not road. It's like this. It's backwater France fucking country. So like, yeah, if you're going off road, you're probably gonna fuck your car up. So I think he's kind of more gone. You know what? I'm not gonna fuck my car up over her. Like, I'll just leave it. I will agree though. There is a largish window of time where he isn't actually like active. Like he spots her and then doesn't shoot at any point. But yeah, he could have gone out there and actually shot her if he'd moved.
So you think he didn't shoot her because he didn't want to? He was just being lazy about it.
He didn't shoot her because at that point she is too far away for his handgun to actually like reach her. But I'm saying he's too complacent in that. So there's too much of a delay between him noticing her and him actually doing anything about it.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I've never thought of it like that. But I guess I guess he just was like, nah. So he's just going, nah, fuck it.
I think the script thinks that she was further away when he noticed her. If that makes sense. So by the time he actually like got out the front door, he was never going to hit her anyway. So he was like, "Oh, bollocks."
But then, unless he had a rifle, you're right. He just had.
If he had a rifle, he'd been fine. But he just had a teeny tiny little altar. So I was like, "Oh, it's not any fucking point." The way it's filmed, that there's a significant delay between him noticing her and her actually getting to a range where she's fine. But yeah, I think that's why he doesn't drive after her either, because like the ground is just going to be shit to drive over, and it's quite a stylish car. It's not worth getting. It's crappy French countryside, so like, there's no. Yeah, I could see him going like, "Oh fuck, I'll leave her." Like, I'm not fucking up a whole car for her. But yeah, that is a flaw. I will concede that is a flaw.
I never really thought of it that way before, but like that does make sense, I guess. Because they had machine guns, they didn't have rifles, did they? Yeah. So yeah, if they had a rifle, it would have been a whole situation. Yeah. I've never thought of it like that before. Yeah, but for the second time that they meet, they meet face to face. I do think it's just he had an inkling, but he wasn't sure what the inkling is, which is the reason why he ordered a glass of milk, and her face when he ordered, oh, like an espresso, and for the mademoiselle, a glass of milk. Her expression during that, it was a split second of expression, but it was like, oh fuck me. He was like,
you can see her going like, does he know?
He probably like skimmed. I was gonna say skimmed his mind, but he was like, yeah, it's probably like he probably passed like through his thought process, but I was like, it doesn't matter. It was probably nothing. Where it was actually everything. So, everyone done their favorite scenes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you say you? Oh, go on. Oh no, go on.
No, I was just gonna. Sorry, I feel the need to expand on Rob's point since he cannot speak for himself. But yeah, I think like I think that is really good line, like just about the putting more faith in rumors and that, like it's the people the people spreading them and that, like you do kind of it does kind of build up a bit more of like a picture, especially if you're trying to like pinpoint areas of activity on a map or something. Like you are getting you are getting more information, like just kind of in a broader sense than. Sorry, I'm probably just absolutely not doing justice to what he actually means, but I cannot hear him. So, in it. Right, who's? Yeah, there you go. He's just confirmed that. Right, who's next?
Me.
Oh God, here we go.
Right, so I feel like me getting picked this week in the end actually falls at a opportune time. Like I've had a few picks in my head, and I did settle on one until unfortunately this week we heard that Akira Toriyama died. So my pick for this round is gonna be my first Dragon Ball Z pick. Sorry, Alec. And I've decided to go with one that features probably his greatest villain creation. So it's going to be Resurrection F. You can watch it on Amazon, Apple TV, or on Crunchyroll if you want to watch it in Japanese. I'm going to be watching it in English.
I was about to say, I think I still have. I have my Crunchyroll still. You can still access it with that.
The Roll Crunch.
Oh, this is called Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's about 92 minutes long. But yeah, I think like considering the sort of social impact Toriyama had on quite a few of us growing up, like I think it's apt to pick one of the films that he had a sort of a heavy hand in the new sort of films that they made. So yeah, that I think it's no time like the present.
Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F is the 19th Dragon Ball movie and the 15th under the Dragon Ball Z branding.
To be honest,
Wait.
I've got all of them on my shelf.
Wait.
That doesn't really help me much.
Are you sure? Are you sure that it's not in English on Crunchyroll? Because it says it's got dubbed there as well.
I don't know. I was just assuming that all the anime stuff on Crunchyroll is in Japanese.
Oh no, they do have English stuff. I mean
Yeah.
stuff in English. Sorry, I guess it should be more correct. Yeah, no, it's got dub and sub, so it's like fine. Yeah, you can definitely watch.
I'm leaving the choice up to you guys. Obviously, I know you prefer watch it in native language, but the English dubbing is really good as well. So, like, it's whatever you're most comfortable with.
To be honest, I'd probably watch it in English. Like Dragon Ball Z and Final Fantasy kind of stuff that's made usually is one of the few times I will watch it in English dub because it is usually really good.
Yeah.
But also, as we've talked about before, the Japanese. I don't know if the Japanese voices in this Dragon Ball Z movie, is it similar to like kind of older Dragon Ball Z stuff?
Yeah, I believe it's the original voice actors. I think the original voice for Frieza. I think now John be the best person to ask. Because I know he mentioned it. I think the voice for Frieza died, so they got a new voice.
Oh.
But I'm not too sure if it's in the Japanese or the English. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
Rob said he will do both just to respect your wishes.
Yeah, I saw that. Oh man, he's committed.
But yeah, I with Dragon Ball Z, I do prefer the direction the English dub goes more than the Japanese in this very specific case. But yeah, either's gonna be fine.
I know, like, especially I'd imagine with Alec and maybe with Ben, well, and definitely Rob, like where you're not sort of up to date with all the anime or the manga. Don't.
That's a diplomatic way to put it.
There's, I mean, it's fairly easy to watch in isolation the films anyway, but I would recommend reading up some stuff online if you get sort of confused with the story on it, because obviously it's like a 30-odd-year-old running thing now, isn't it? So.
Well, I mean, this year is actually its 40th anniversary this year.
Or 40, yeah.
That's why it's extra sad, because he passed on the milestone year.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is
there
my pick.
Since this is the 15th installment or 19th or whatever, is there anything you can tell us that's going to help us out?
It's a bit weird to explain Dragon Ball to you in like a few minutes, right? It's because like it's such a long history of stuff that happens. I mean, like I know that you're not a fan, Nick, but even you know that what a Saiyan is and a Super Saiyan is, right? I guess.
I know that Saiyans are aliens who can scream so hard their hair turns blonde, and they get really powerful when they do that, and then they can punch things super fast, and then I know that they can do this, and they fuse together, and I know that hang on, I know that the Goku and Vegeta don't like each other, and I know that Shenron does wishes if you bring him Dragon Balls.
I mean, like you're like 80% there, to be honest, and I think that's probably fine.
80%. Okay.
I mean, like, yeah, but like you could say, I mean, if you generalize it enough, everything is like, oh yeah, you can say that about, let's say, Superman. Oh, he's an alien, super strong, allergic to green rocks. It's like, oh yeah, you're about, you're about like 70% there, 80% there. It's fine. I feel like there is a lot of like lore and like a lot of like stuff to read through or watch, right? To be honest, if you really want to do like a quick version of it, right? There is like the funny abridged version that's on YouTube, which is only like 30 like episodes, and it cuts down a lot of bullshit because it makes it funny instead. And if you just watch that, I think like you could probably get most of it as well. You'd be like, oh yeah, they changed some narrative points, but it actually makes sense because it's like a abridged version.
Especially from the first episode of Dragon Ball to the last episode of Dragon Ball Z, there's 430 episodes.
Fucking hell, yeah, that's
not even taking Super into account.
Ugh.
Oh man.
And I'm already starting my watch through the entire thing.
Oh really?
I'm 28 episodes in.
That's a lot of yelling.
Does that start from Dragon Ball?
It's soothing, yeah.
Okay.
So like, starts from Dragon Ball through to Dragon Ball Z, but Dragon Ball Super sort of starts just before the end of Z, and then after Z ends, you've got GT. So there's like loads of different branches.
GT is no longer canon.
Oh, Dragon Ball Z Gran Turismo, yeah.
No, I know it's not canon, but I'm still adding that to my watch through. Poor Rob.
Fucking Rob. Jesus. Rob is having a time of it. He's like,
do you know, this call next week might be the one that breaks our record for viewers.
Oh yeah, because of
it has to be a good one.
Yeah.
This
I-
will be one that we're known for.
I
Yeah,
I don't expect
Dragon
like
Ball, Good
really
Brothers.
high scores. I don't really expect that high scores outside of myself. But I think it's just a nice sort of tribute pick for someone that's had such a big effect on my childhood. So
Yeah.
Nice.
It had a big effect on a lot of people's childhood, to be honest.
yeah.
Well, cool.
Well, Rob said, I don't know how much I'm going to like the film, but I really like the pick. There's a lot of character.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was
As
gonna
in
say
a
just
very bad pick.
Well, it's a lot more. It's easier watching than what I was going to pick, which is now going to be later in the year, which you'll find out in due course. I'm not giving information just yet.
okay.
But would you say this film, Resurrection F, is the lowest budget Pat pick so far?
I don't know
Holy
because I've picked
shit,
some old
not
ones.
too bad. Oh no, hang on, no, it won't be. It won't be.
Well, I mean, like
took-
you got
No,
to find out the
Halloween's
yen conversion.
Yeah, Halloween's a thing. No, Halloween was 325,000. This is 5 million. Fucking hell.
Wait, no,
No,
but
mine.
that's like, is that like for inflation as well? And is that in yen?
No, that'd be in
What's
dollars.
dollars?
Oh, is it what? $5 million? Really? Fuck, that's much more.
But you gotta
than
think.
expected.
You got to think it's the new animation style as well, which is quite pricey.
Oh,
When you
right.
when you
Yes, that's true.
consider that old Toriyama sort of hand drawn stuff, which would have been pretty low budget. But I'd imagine some of that budget is from the extended cast as well, because you've got a whole Japanese cast and a whole American cast.
That's
Well,
true.
I say that there's only probably like a handful of each because like they do multiple characters.
Well, I mean, like that and like animation, and again, I think a lot of it is still inflation, because like that price then and like that price now, especially with, let's say, your Halloween. I mean, yeah, budget wise would definitely like be very skewed to like be higher now.
Yeah.
So just from my understanding, is Dragon Ball set in the future?
Yes? Question mark.
Excellent.
It's got its own sort of timeline. To be fair.
It's a bit odd because like there's like spaceships and stuff, but there's also dinosaurs, so it's hard to say where it is. Not timeline.
Yeah.
Wait, is it supposed to be Planet Earth?
It's on Earth, yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be Earth.
First sentence.
I think it's
Earth known as Dragon World.
Yeah, it's Earth.
Yeah, alternative Earth.
No, it is set on Earth. But we can go into it more next week.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoy it at least.
I mean,
Alex,
yeah.
don't watch it on mute because you don't like screaming. I want you to hear every portion of the screams.
Oh.
Don't worry. You can watch it on my Crunchyroll. You don't have to pay for it. It's fine.
I want you to rate every scream.
1 for every.
Okay.
Oh.
And if it makes you feel any better, Alex, this isn't the one that I was going to pick initially. Because I was going to pick a Dragon Ball film probably next year, and it was going to be a different one. So that's still lingering over your head.
Rob said you got upset last time I made a frequency chart.
Frequency
I can't even
chart.
remember.
What do you mean?
Frequencies.
Is that
What?
the Murph chart?
What, like of the screams?
No,
No,
of the amount of
it was Murph.
times Murph was said.
Oh,
that.
right.
I wouldn't say I was
right.
upset. I was like, what's why?
It was really annoying.
Well, I mean, like, unless you want to do like a chart for like how many decibels it goes over, I don't think that's a thing you want to do.
I'll time it. I'll time how much of the screen time is.
I'm
is
glad we're not.
screaming.
I'm glad we're not watching the TV. One of the TV episodes where Goku transforms to Super Saiyan 3 because that takes 10 minutes.
That takes that is a long time.
How long's an episode? 20 minutes.
25 minutes, yeah.
And 10 minutes of that is just screaming.
Yeah.
Just think of it as
Oh,
having a really
sorry.
traumatic poo.
Yeah, that makes it better.
Look, that's why I'm saying watch the abridged series. The abridged one will make it. It'll be funnier.
Could there not be a title card? He just starts screaming and you get a SpongeBob thing and goes 10 minutes later, and then he's I'm Super Saiyan 3.
I mean, like, it is a ridiculous show, but I fucking love it. I mean, I'm 35 in a few weeks, and I'm still watching it like I was when I was 6. Make of that what you will.
I don't want to say I'm proud of you, but good going.
Come back to me in 20 years, I'll probably still be watching.
Keep on tracking.
But yeah, that's me.